Okay. Okay, there are some questions. Let me start answering these questions. Question 1. Must a meditator's breath disappear before he reaches nimitta? If it is not necessary, how does he manage the sensation of the absence of his breath? The tendency is usually for one to breathe harder in order to get back the breath, leading to a break in concentration. Now, when you come to this stage where the breath, when you want to practice mindfulness, anytime you lose your breath or anytime you cannot notice the breath, you have to breathe several times to find out where the breath is. That is vipassana meditation technique, mindfulness meditation techniques. Anytime you lose your breath, you don't have to worry. Many people, when they lose breath, they worry about it. They wonder what happened to their breath. So then only they take several breaths to notice the breath. But when you try to practice concentration, you keep your mind totally focused on the breath, and when you lose the breath, you don't have concentration at all. You keep bringing your mind to the breath and pay total attention and stay with the breath. You noticing gross breath turns into subtle breath, and stay with the subtle breath and paying total attention to that breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and then you will notice breath becomes so refined, subtle, that it slowly fades away. Since the mind had already been united with the breath, as the breath fades away, that the mind has already become relatively clear and clean and sharp. So you don't have to worry about the breath anymore, because the mind has already become calm, relaxed, and sharp. Then that is the time your hindrances also are already disappeared. Friends, this does not happen all of a sudden in few seconds, few minutes. You have to do the practice for a long time, repeating the same thing again and again and again and again before you come to this state. When you come to that state, then your hindrances are all subsided. Greed, anger, restlessness and worry, sleepiness and drowsiness and doubt, all these are subsided. When they are subsided, your mind is very, you are delighted. Mind is filled with joy, happiness, because greed is like indebtedness. You have paid up all your debts. You feel that kind of feeling when greed disappears. When your anger disappears, you feel as if you came out of a sickness. Anger is a sickness. So you will be very delighted that anger is no longer there. Restlessness and worry is like being a slave. So when you liberated from restlessness and worry, you feel that you have become free from slavery, and you are delighted. When doubt fades away, you feel that you are out of jail, prison, and so forth. So your mind is already full of joy and happiness. That is the time your breath fades away and the mind is already conditioned for gaining concentration. That is the time you gain what is called excess concentration. Excess concentration is not another kind of concentration. It is simply before you attain true full concentration. That mental state is called excess concentration. It is not something very different, another state. It is just approaching the right concentration. Then you stay with that, then you gain concentration. So you don't have to worry about breathing several times to bring your mind back to the breath, because you have already conditioned yourself up to that moment, so you will gain concentration. Now, there is one page, one full page, like an essay. I hope this is a question. Let me try to read this essay first. Can Bhante explain briefly the way to progress from lower to higher jhana? Okay. Now suppose you attain the first jhana. When you have subsided your hindrances, you have already developed your jhanic qualities. In the first jhana there are 5 jhanic factors. The jhanic factors, as I mentioned, in Pali, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Vitakka, I said, are 3 kinds of thoughts. I don't agree with initial application of thought and sustained application of thought, because they don't make any sense. But vitakka and sankappa are used synonymously. So what you find in sankappa, you can apply to vitakka as well. So what are they? Your thought of letting go. Thought of letting go is thought of renunciation. You have already renounced your greed as a hindrance. Greed is a hindrance. You let go of that greed. That is thought of renunciation. You have let go of hatred, anger. And now you have, instead, you have metta, loving friendliness in your mind. When you let go of your anger, you let go of your thought of cruelty. These are the 3 very wholesome mental states called vitakka. Vichara means maintaining, sustaining the same mental state, not in words, not in concept, but just that very particular peaceful mental state you maintain. And then you have joy, because you have already overcome your hindrances, your mind is full of joy. You have happiness and you have concentration. Now, I'm giving you in brief, but because we don't have time to explain all these things in detail. And then all these 5 jhanic factors work like one team. They work in unison, together, as a team. And on the other side, we have hindrances. We have already suppressed the hindrances. Their place is taken by these 5 jhanic factors. Now, you are juggling with them now. In the jhanic state, you are holding all the hindrances at bay. You don't let them come, you have suppressed them. But your thought of letting go, thought of loving friendliness, thought of compassion and so on are not permanently settled. They are temporary attainment. And at the same time, hindrances are trying to invade the mind. So you keep playing with them, trying, holding very diligently, and it is very tedious work. So you lose the jhana. When one hindrance arises, you lose the jhana. Then you have to attain it again. Once you attain the jhana, you have to reflect it, and you have to attain it. You have to determine when to attain, how long you will be there, determine to get out of it, and re-attain it. This way you have mastered the first jhana. And still you can lose it because of hindrances. And as you are doing it again and again and again and again, the mind gets tired of staying in the first jhana because of this battle with hindrances. Then you lose interest in the first jhana because of this losing it. By the time you lose the interest in the first jhana, you are ready, your mind is ready to go to the second jhana. So, after attaining so many times, one moment your mind will lose interest in the first jhana, and then it naturally glides to the second jhana and leave initial thought or vitakka behind and vichara behind. So you lose vitakka, vichara, both you don't pay any attention to them, you let them go. So now you are in the second jhana. In the second jhana, you have joy, happiness, concentration. And the joy also is very fragile, delicate. So every time you attain the second jhana, the joy being very delicate, you have to hold it with diligence, perseverance, you are going to hold it. And just like the first jhana you attain again and again, you master it, re-attain it, and then you lose interest in the second jhana. Then you let go of this joy which is fragile, and then the mind will be ready to go to the third jhana. And similarly, you lose interest in the third jhana, then the mind goes to the fourth jhana. This is how one goes from one jhana to the other. But the Vishuddhimagga explained that you have to attain the first jhana and get out of it and start all over again from scratch. It is just like climbing steps. When you climb steps, you climb the first step. When you want to go to the second step, do you come out of the first step to go to the second? No. You lift the foot from the first step and put it on the second step. I think this is the same way, in the same method we have to follow in order to attain from one lower jhana to high jhanas. Now, the second question in this paper is, in first jhana, my mind is very clear and cool and calm. I concentrated with rapture and happiness, but I cannot discern rising and falling of phenomenon clearly at all. Even after emerging from jhana, I also cannot clearly discern rising and falling, as there is absence of pain and discomfort and hindrances. Can Bhante speak a little about the transition from jhana to vipassana bhavana? Is the first jhana and the second jhana a good base for vipassana, or should we attain the third and fourth jhana and then do vipassana? Now, when you attain the jhana, suppose you are in the first jhana, you, in order to practice vipassana, even when you are in the first jhana, you have a good concentration. And this concentration does not make you like a vegetable. You are fully aware of it. You have mindfulness. You have clear comprehension. You are alert. So, with these qualities, with good concentration, you are not asleep. You are fully awake. And because of the power of concentration, you will be able to become fully aware of the subtlest changes that take place in your mind and body. And these changes, what we call impermanence, rising and falling of various states like feelings, perceptions, thoughts, consciousness, you become fully aware of it. This awareness is awareness of rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, is much sharper and deeper in the jhanic state, much clearer in the jhanic state. And then, instead of staying in jhana, you use this concentration to deepen your understanding of impermanence. It happens without any words, without any concept, by paying total mindful attention more deeply, more clearly in the jhanic state. Jhanic state is not a sleepy state, not a state where you lose your consciousness. That is how you use your jhanic concentration to see impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and selflessness more clearly. Buddha has mentioned in many places, samahitang chittang yatha bhutang pajanati. This sentence conveys the best meaning of what we should do, what happens to us in jhana. That means when the mind is concentrated, that concentrated state of mind can see the subtlest changes taking place in our mind and body. And when you go to higher jhanas, this concentration becomes even sharper and deeper. When you go to the fourth jhana, Buddha has very clearly mentioned in the fourth jhana there are 8 wonderful qualities. What are they? Evam parisuddhe, pariyodate, anangane, vigatupaklese, mudubhute, kammaniye, thite, ananjappate, asavakhe jnanaye, chittang abhininnameti. If you understand this formula, the jhanic qualities, you will never have any confusion about what to do with the jhana. Evam parisuddhe, pure. Pariyodate, white, clean. Anangane, without idiosyncrasies. Vigatu paklese, liberating from underlying tendencies. Mudubhute, soft. Kammaniye, pliable. Thite, steady. Ananjappate, imperturbable. Just imagine the qualities of the fourth jhana. And Buddha said, mind with these qualities will focus on the destruction of defilements. That is what we do in vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation also we use our concentrated state of mind to destroy defilements. Asavakhe jnanaye chittang abhininnameti. You focus the mind on destruction of defilements. And therefore, someone who is very highly intellectual would need only access concentration, because that is the minimum requirement to gain, to overcome hindrances. And you have concentration. Just imagine Venerable Kondanya listening to the first sermon. Buddha even did not mention anicca dukkha anatta. But what Venerable Kondanya said, yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang. That which is subject to arising is subject to passing away, who is subject to cessation. Where did he get this knowledge? Because he was paying total, undivided, mindful attention to the every word Buddha uttered. And he saw that anything arising is subject to passing away. What did he see? He saw the condition, he saw the characteristics of conditions. What are the conditioned things? What are the characteristics of conditioned things? And Buddha said, Teenimani bhikkhave sankatasa sankata lakhnani katamani tini uppado panyayati vayo panyayati thitasa anyatattang panyayati. Rising is knowable, visible, noticeable. Passing away is knowable, visible, noticeable, and in between what is called theta, steady, present existence is changing, anyatattang, changing into another state, is visible, knowable, and perceptible. So, Venerable Konanya saw these three characteristics of all conditioned things while listening to the sermon. And then he attained stream entry. Venerable Sariputta, as Upatissa, got the same knowledge. Bahya Daruchirya, Upali, Supabuddha, all these individuals, many, many more, attain stream entries by paying attention to what the Buddha was saying. And Venerable Asaji's message delivered the same thing to Venerable Sariputta, and so forth. So, this is how we use Jhanic experience, Jhanic concentration, or even excess concentration we use to gain this insight. Third question in this paper is, in Nibbana, does consciousness cease altogether, or does it become manifestive, anidassana vijnana, as some have explained, that is Bhikkhu K. Jnanananda. Okay. Anidassana is you cannot there is no any particular sign or marks to know the state of consciousness of an arahant. You remember a very famous story of Vangisa. Vangisa was a Brahmin who was able to tap on skulls of dead persons and able to tell where the person was reborn. So Buddha brought 4 skulls. Buddha asked somebody to bring 4 skulls and asked Vangisa to knock on them and tap on them. And one he tapped, he found that he was born in heaven. Another he tapped, he was born in woeful state of existence. Another skull he tapped, he found that person was born as a human being. When he tapped on the 4th one, he got confused. Why? Because he could not find a trace of this person's consciousness. Traceless. Akaseva sakuntanang gati tesan durannayam. Just like when a bird flies in the sky, you cannot find its footsteps. And Buddha gave examples like Vachagotta Sutta. Just like when the flame is blown out, you don't know where the fire is gone. Similarly, there is no any particular way or sign, any sign to see or understand the state or nature of the mind of an arahant. That is anidarsana. In brief, you can see in Jnanananda has explained in great detail in his book. Okay. Now, I have a few questions to ask you. They are, this person has written these questions. In the Anguttara Nikaya 4170, Venerable Ananda say, there are 4 ways to attain arahanthood. First way is to practice samatha first, followed by vipassana. Second way is to practice vipassana first, followed by samatha. Third way is to practice samatha and vipassana together. The fourth way is to contemplation of the self that leads to one-pointedness of mind and reach arahanthood by further contemplation. The first way to the third way is practiced by Theravada monks or lay disciples whereas the fourth way is normally practiced by Mahayana and Tantric monks or lay disciples. Can Bhante enlighten me on the fourth way of meditation? How is it done? By contemplating on the self. You asked me to explain it. I don't do that. I don't do that fourth way. But I can try to answer your question. Now, first 3 ways I mentioned the other day also, Samatha Pubbanga Vipassana, Vipassana Pubbangama Samatha, and Yuganadha. And the fourth way is contemplating the self simply means developing our mind to become aware of non-existence of permanent self. I think just like in Anatta Lakkana Sutta, where Buddha said that Rupam bhikkhave anatta, rupam chetam bhikkhave atta abhavisana idam rupam abhadaya sangvatati. Nacha labbhati rupe evang me rupam hotu, evang me rupam mahositi. And so forth. In the discourse, Buddha said the form is not self. If the form is self, it will not be subject to affliction. Since the form is subject to affliction, it is not self. It is form is impermanent. When form is impermanent, it is unsatisfactory. That which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, is free from permanent self. So this way, logically, rationally, somebody can see non-existence of self. Another way is seeing honestly, sincerely, without any assumption, presumption, preconceived notions, directly from personal experience. One can see things are constantly, consistently, always, incessantly changing. Friends, in vipassana meditation, no matter how you approach it, in the true vipassana meditation, you must be able to see things changing consistently. You may take vacations. You say, I took 1 day leave, 2 weeks vacation. Friends, your heart never take vacation. If heart took vacation, you are kaput, finished. Lungs never take vacations. Liver never take vacations. Blood circulation never take vacation. Not one single cell in our body takes vacation. They constantly, consistently, repeatedly changing all the time. So when you practice true vipassana meditation, you should be able to see these constant changes in the minutest way. That shows you that there is no permanent self. So, whether you call it samatha, preceded by vipassana, or vipassana preceded by samatha, or combination of both, you definitely must see this reality. So, there are you can approach this state by 5 ways, not only these 4. In Anguttara Nikaya there is a discourse called Pancha Vimuttayatana Sutta. That is 5 ways of attaining liberation. That is out of your question, so I don't want to dwell on this. Let me answer the questions first. Are access concentration and jhana-like concentration science concentration? Access concentration and jhana-like concentration, science concentration or sight? Right concentration or right concentration. Friends, access concentration and jhana-like concentration themselves cannot be qualified, cannot be called right concentration. You can gain access concentration and jhana-like concentration through wrong concentration as well. But I mentioned several times, what is right concentration? Right concentration is the concentration supported by 7 steps of the Noble Eightfold Path. You have to right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness. Only when these 7 steps of the Noble Eightfold Path supported concentration, that concentration is called right concentration. No any other concentration we call right concentration. Whether it is access, when you attain the access concentration following these 7 steps, then it will be right access concentration. If you gain access concentration by following something else, that cannot be called right concentration. Another question, how to guard the 6 senses, sense doors? To guard 6 sense doors, we have to have a mindful reflection. Mindful reflection is reflection from the root. When certain say you see objects. As soon as you open your eyes, you see objects. They can be human, animals, sceneries, and so forth and so on. And then, if the object happens to be pleasant, what arises? Desire arises. If the object happens to be unpleasant, resentment arises, or confusion. If the object happens to be neither pleasant nor unpleasant, confusion can arise. So, as soon as this mental state arises, we have to guard the mind. Guarding senses does not mean closing our eyes, or plugging our ears, or shutting our mouth, or plugging our nose. Guarding senses means when any sensory stimuli enters the mind through the eye, look at the mind. What happens to the mind? What kind of mental state arose in the mind? If greed arose in the mind, we have to take care of that. When hatred arose in the mind, we have to take care of that. When confusion arises in the mind, we have to take care of that. So we learn to we learn ourselves to pay attention to the particular mental state that is triggered by the particular sensory stimuli. That way we control or guard our senses. Buddha gave very beautiful simile to illustrate this. I think most of you know the simile. Simile is the simile of dog and lion. Remember? No? When you throw a frisbee or rock or stick to a dog will run after it, bite it, or bring it back to you. Right? But if you throw the same stick, frisbee, or rock to a lion will not run after the stick. Lion will run after you. Lion wants to find out where it came from. So mindful reflection is like that. When something happens, we don't normally, no matter how beautiful dogs are, you may sleep with dog, putting in your bed. You may sleep, you may kiss, you may hug, you may do everything to the dog thinking that this is my best friend on earth. But if you leave the dog alone, where does it go? He goes to a dirty place. What does he sniff? He sniffs dirt. The dog's nature you cannot change. Similarly, the mind, when we see the object with the eye, the mind does not go into the mind. Mind goes onto the object, increasing greed, hatred, delusion, and traveling all over the universe. That is the dog's nature. When the lion's nature is, when something happens, go to the root, go to the mind, inside, see whether greed arises in me, hatred arises in me, confusion arises in me. Is this greed something peaceful? Is this hatred going to bring peace, happiness? So you go inside and try to find the reality. Go to the root. It is called yoniso manasikara. Yoniso manasikara means reflecting from the root. There are 6 roots, 3 wholesome roots, 3 unwholesome roots. Greed, hatred, and delusion, unwholesome roots. Non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, wholesome roots. Mindful reflection is going to the roots and see how they affect our life. This is what is called restraining, guarding our senses. Next question, what is the best thing to do when we are about to pass away? I think this is a very good question. When we are going to pass away, if you know that you are going to pass away, most of the time we don't know. It happens so quickly, sometimes unconsciously. But if you are consciously going to pass away and you know that you are going to pass away, keep your mind as pure, as clean as possible. Don't let greed, hatred, and delusion invade your mind. Keep metta in your mind. Keep friendliness in your mind. Keep peace in your mind. Think of the Buddha. Think of the noble Dharma. Think of the noble Sangha. Think of all noble, wonderful, supreme, pure, clean mental state. Friends, you cannot do it all of a sudden. You have to prepare for it. The practice of meditation is the way to prepare yourself for that moment, last moment. Practice metta. Asammullo kalang karoti. When you practice metta, you can die without confusion. Try to do that. Okay. There are many more questions. Another question, is jhana a concept? Is jhana is concept actually? You can have concept of jhana, but the jhana itself is not a concept. It is an experience. When you train the mind to go through certain mental states, you achieve this mental state, therefore it is not mere concept. Next question, what is one-pointedness? How to attain? One-pointedness is also two kind. One is unwholesome one-pointedness, other is wholesome one-pointedness. I don't have to mention anything about unwholesome one-pointedness because it is very common. Suppose somebody want to shoot an object, animal or so forth, you have to have one-pointedness. If you want to pickpocket, you have to have one-pointedness to watch the careless moment of the person from whom you are going to pick the pocket. That is also one-pointedness. The other is wholesome one-pointedness. In the wholesome one-pointedness, all wholesome mental factors are unified. That is called right concentration. Kusala chittasya ekaggata is samadhi. Kusala chittasya ekaggata samadhi. Akusala chittasya ekaggata also can be samadhi, but that is wrong samadhi. That is one-pointedness of wholesome mind is called concentration. How to attain it? How to attain it is through the purification of mind. There are 7 steps of purification, starting with morality and so on. And I said there is this thick book written by Buddha Gosa called Path of Purification, where steps are given. So, since our time is very short, I have to answer this question very quickly. Another question, kindly explain in each of the 4 jhanas what are the states that are abandoned and what are attained. You have explained the first jhana, so can you please carry on with the second, third and fourth jhana. Now, in this book in this, what you call, handout, I mentioned the formula for jhana. Unfortunately, I have no time to explain them in any detail, but I read the Jhanic formula once again. The second, with the subsiding of applied thought and sustained thought, one enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without applied thought and sustained thought, is filled with rapture and bliss born of concentration. Now, as I mentioned in the second jhana, the thought of letting go, thought of loving friendliness, thought of compassion are subsided, disappeared. And then one enters and dwells in second jhana, which has internal confidence. Now, internal confidence arises from your own personal experience. You attain the first jhana. From the first jhana, you understood how you attain it, because you have worked very hard to attain that state, and you are no longer believing in attainment of jhana. Now you have attained it. You know, belief is one thing, experience is another. In the previous to attain the first jhana, you had the belief, trust, faith. Now when you attain it, you no longer have faith or trust, but you have experience. So from this experience you develop your confidence that you can attain it. That is the confidence, internal confidence, inner confidence. Then unification of mind. In the first jhana, your joy, happiness arises from the fact that you are secluded from hustle, bustle, busy activities. You are no longer in a busy market or in the office or in the family, in conversation, discussions, and so forth. You are aloof from them. And that gives you a tremendous relief. You feel, that is over. That is over. That kind of joy arises when you are in the first jhana. Concentration, let alone access concentration, but even the first jhanic concentration is not as deep as in the as the concentration in the second jhana. Why? Because even in the first jhana there is the shadow of thought of letting go, the thought of non-cruelty or loving friendliness, compassion, and so forth is still there. And therefore the concentration is not relatively very deep. So in the first jhanic formula in sutras, concentration is not heavily emphasized because of this presence of these mental factors. But when these mental factors fade away, you have a real concentration. This is called Ariyo Tunni Bhava. Ariyo Tunni Bhava means the state where Vitakka Vichara ceases. You know, people say, we observe noble silence. When you go to retreats, people very casually say, we observe noble silence. Friends, you can never have noble silence so long as your mind inwardly keeps on chipping all the time. Some sort of inner communication, inner verbalizing going on. So long as inner verbalizing going on, you are not in noble silence. Noble silence arises only when you attain the second jhana. And that is where you gain deeper concentration. So, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without applied thought and sustained thought, filled with rapture and happiness. Happiness. Some people translate sukha as happiness, some translate as bliss. Since English is not my mother tongue, I just use those two terms, indiscriminately. Then the third jhana, with the fading away of rapture, one dwells in equanimity, mindful and discerning, and one experiences in one's own person that bliss of which the noble one say, happily lives one who is equanimous and mindful. Thus one enters and dwells in the third jhana. In the third jhana, your joy or rapture fades away, but happiness with equanimity emerge. So such a person is called one who lives with equanimity and mindfulness. Happily lives one who is equanimous and mindful. There is happiness or peace, equanimity and mindfulness. When you attain the fourth jhana, this is the formula. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, one enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure and has purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. Your joy, happiness, all disappear. Pain and pleasure. Pain disappeared when you attain the first jhana. Pleasure disappeared when you attain the third jhana. With the previous disappearance of joy and grief, grief also disappeared when you attain the first jhana. Joy disappears when you attain the third jhana. So then you enter and dwells in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, has purity of mindfulness. I just simply read the word, read the formula. Unfortunately, didn't have time to explain them in detail. Next question in this paper is, in your notes, page 3, under the jhana state, there are more than 4 jhana states. Jhana stated. What are the material jhanas, first jhana, immaterial jhanas, 5th to 8th jhanas, and the supramundane jhanas? Are they finer divisions of the 4 jhanas? This needs little clarification. What are the material jhanas? Material jhanas are the jhanas that are developed by using material object. For instance, even the breath is a material object. Casinos are material objects. Whenever we use any material object to focus our mind to gain jhana, that jhana is called material jhana. What is immaterial jhana? For immaterial jhana, we use concept, space. For instance, when you attain the first immaterial jhana, we have, it is called akasanancha ayatana. That is not anything, space is not material. It is immaterial. So the object we use to gain concentration is immaterial object. Therefore, that attainment itself is called immaterial jhana. Actually, they are not termed as jhana in sutras. They are called ayatana. Akasanancha ayatana, vijnanancha ayatana, akinchanya ayatana, nevasanya, nasanya ayatana, and so forth. These are attainments. Now, then mundane jhanas and supramundane jhanas. All these are mundane jhanas because they all belong to mundane states and they all are subject to change. All material jhanas are subject to change, all the immaterial jhanas are subject to change. And the other reason why they are called mundane, because neither material jhana nor immaterial jhana destroy any fetter. So long as hindrances are subsided and attain these jhanas, they all are mundane jhanas. Only when the fetters are destroyed and attain jhana, that is called supramundane jhana. Now, say for instance, it's a very long time consuming thing, but I even try to hesitate to start it because it is such a big subject. Suppose one attains stream entry. And then this person attains jhana. By attaining stream entry, you can attain stream entry without jhana, like access concentration. You attain the access concentration, you attain then stream entry. Then you practice jhana and attain jhana. Then your jhana is called supramundane jhana. Why? Because you have destroyed at least 3 fetters. Or you attain the jhana and then you destroy a fetter. After that your jhana becomes supramundane jhana. To make it, very simple. But it takes much longer, more detailed explanation. This is how I can do at this time, only this much. Then another question. When sitting, sometimes I feel the energy is flowing within my body and make my body move. So far, I observed that the energy actually healed the fatigue in my body, and after that, it will bring me to the straight sitting posture and I will be able to sit still again. What shall I do? Do I have to control this energy? Actually, we talk about energy. We are not talking very much about physical energy. Physically, you may be energetic. That itself is not anything wholesome, anything spiritual. But what we need is a spiritual energy, mental energy, energy to practice the meditation, energy to do wholesome things, energy to penetrate the truth. For instance, in the jhana, in the bojjhanga, the third bojjhanga is virya-sambojjhanga, supported by mindfulness and investigation. What do we do in mindfulness? We keep looking at impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and selflessness. Then we begin to open our mind. All these years we thought this something is permanent there. But when we practice mindfulness, we find nothing permanent. We honestly, sincerely must see that. Then we want to practice more. And then we can see the connection between impermanence and unsatisfactoriness. How? Because when we try to become attached to anything impermanent, we end up in frustration. That is why impermanent things becomes unsatisfactory. Not purely because they are impermanent, but because of our desire to become attached to impermanent things. No matter how hard, sometimes you get even frustrated even to listen to this kind of talk, because greed, desire, attachment is such an important component of our life. We must live. Without that we cannot live. And therefore even to hear about desire and suffering because of the desire is so boring and frustrating. Even then, we must try to face facts. So, what are we trying to hold on to? What are we trying to attach to? Anything you think? Something impermanent. And that very reason ends up in suffering. The moment we try to become attached to anything impermanent, impermanence never obey our wish. It keeps on changing, pulling the rug under our feet, leaving us in frustration. When we practice mindfulness deeply, honestly, sincerely, consistently, we will see this truth. And then we become more enthusiastic, more interested in the practice. And then we see selflessness. So, then we begin to investigate. What do we investigate? We ask question, is this permanent or impermanent? We ask the question in our mind. We experience our feeling, our perceptions, our thought, our ideas, our memories, our hallucination, our fantasies, daydreams, jhana, metta. Ask the question, is metta permanent? Is jhana permanent? Like that we question ourselves of everything in our life. That is our investigation. As we investigate, our original understanding become even deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then what happened? We want to go further. Then we get more energy. We build up energy. And there is energy factor of enlightenment. So, that is the kind of energy required for the attainment of liberation, not the kind of strength that you need to lift weightlifter, not that kind of energy. Or punch somebody in boxing, not that kind of energy. But mental energy arising from seeing the truth. So, where am I? Okay, that is the answer to that question. If one has no intention to kill, but he sells food that contains meat as a living, is this the right livelihood? Now, if he sells food that contains meat, he is not selling meat, he is selling food. You say it contains meat. For instance, you have some kind of medicine which may have some animal product. You are not aware of it. You sell it. That is not wrong. But buying and selling livestock for meat, buying livestock and selling for slaughter, that is wrong. That is wrong livelihood. Okay. All this needs more explanation, but I am getting very tired now. Normally towards the evening, my energy goes down. So physically not very strong. How does one come out from the fourth jhana to practice vipassana? Now this is a wrong assumption that one has to come out of fourth jhana to practice vipassana. As I mentioned, you can never find in any sutta that Buddha has asked the meditator to come out of jhana to practice vipassana. As I mentioned earlier, when you are in the fourth jhana, you have those 8 qualities. With those 8 qualities, the mind with these 8 qualities should direct towards the destruction of defilements while you are in that state. Friends, when you come out of jhana, you have lost your concentration. You have only when the mind is fully concentrated that you can see things exactly as they are. Not when you come out of jhana. It is just like when the knife is sharp, you can cut well. When the knife is blunt, you cannot cut well. When you come out of jhana, your mind is not as sharp, as concentrated as when you are in jhana. And therefore Buddha says, evam parisuddhe pariyodate anangane vigudupaklese mudubhute kammane thite ananjapatte asavake jnana chittang abhininnameti. This pure, clean, white and imperturbable mind should direct to destruction of defilements. That mind should be directed for the destruction of defilements, not out of jhana. The whole purpose of attaining jhana is to make it sharp, clean, powerful, concentrated, to penetrate the veil of ignorance, to penetrate ignorance. And therefore, getting out of it and trying to do that is not going to work. Does one need a concentrated mind to practice vipassana? Yes. Actually, you can practice vipassana and gain concentration and then use that concentration to practice more deeper vipassana, to see things even more clearly. Next question. What is the difference between an absorbed mind and concentrated mind? Now, the word absorption is a wrong term. It's a misleading translation. When we are in meditation, when we attain jhana, we are not absorbed. When you are absorbed in the object, you are with the object and you don't know how to use your mind. When you are merged with the object, how can you be independently notice what is going on? You can participate in the things, and then you can investigate and look at it. But if you when you are absorbed in it, absorbing in it is like diluting something in water, or mixing with water. When you completely mix with it, in it, you cannot do anything. But you have to be alert, mindful to see what is going on. And therefore, Jhanic attainment is, the concentration is not called absorption concentration. It is just one-pointedness of wholesome mental state is the better translation rather than absorption concentration. I think the last question, if there is, when I open this, yeah. Last question is, oh, thank you very much. Last question is wishing me good health and happiness and peace. What else can I ask for? You gave me all. Thank you very much. That's all I need. Peace, happiness, and liberation. Thank you. And good health. Thank you very much. I think no time for meditation tonight. I spent the entire time answering your questions, and I'm very tired now. I must stop this. Oh, my leg also got cramped.
Can I just mention that Bhante Dhammaratana is not able to join us tonight, so he's suggested that I, on behalf of the Buddhist Library and Buddhist Research Society, extend our gratitude to Bhante Guanaratana for very conscientiously addressing us over the last 4 evenings. So if you all can join me to show our appreciation to Bhante in our whatever way you all feel is appropriate. So Bhante, thank you very much. So do you want applause? Thank you, and thank you very much for joining us to listen to Bhante share the Dharma. And good evening and good night.
So we want to conclude by chanting Pali stanza as usual. Sabbetiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu මාතේ භවත්වන්තරායෝ සුඛී දීඝායුකෝ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ